So, Darren, we're here in the study. It is December 2024, and we're here to answer the question, which is, should I have a case for my iPad Generation 10? So, I have a new iPad, a Generation 10 iPad, and I guess I'm probably not the typical user of iPads in the sense that I'm very happy with a laptop. And the question is, for my use and for general use, should you get a case? So in my particular case, my use case is that I'll be taking this device outside of the home frequently when I choose not to use a laptop. And in such a situation, I definitely need a case to protect the back, and I also need a keyboard to do data input. So I both need a protective case and a keyboard. In other cases, for example, many other people that I associate with or teach, they have iPads, but they also have the following characteristics. They may not have a laptop computer, so they just have a phone and an iPad. They don't touch type, so a keyboard addition to their iPad is not going to be very useful. And a lot of the more elderly iPad clients don't leave the house with their iPad. I mean, in such a situation, they probably don't need a case. So in their carpeted mansions, they don't need, if they were to drop their iPad, the drop wouldn't result in anything more than a bit of a bounce. A keyboard case is an excellent way to change the iPad into sort of a cheap laptop equivalent, because the iPad Gen 10 is now at about £300. So if you can add a keyboard, let's say for £100 or less, then for £400 you've got yourself an iPad, but you've also got a laptop type device you can use with a keyboard should you wish to. So I think for people who don't have the means to buy a more expensive laptop and want to stay in the Apple ecosystem, an iPad with a keyboard is another option. So we've got 6 cases. I've looked at many cases, but we're down to the last 6, and they all have their merits. I'm going to go through each case, just give you the highlights of each case, and then there's a conclusion at the end. And separately to this video, there'll be hopefully a detailed video on each case. So the first case that we're going to look at is the ESR protective case. It is the lightest case in my collection, and it weighs in at 245 grams in total. It's a one-piece case, and it cost £16. Now, the interesting thing about this case is that it's magnetically holding the iPad only, and they've made it lightweight by not having any edges here. And that's an advantage for me because I'm looking at something that has the absolute lightest weight. Because if my case is heavy and it has a keyboard, then it's going to be almost the same weight as an iPad Air, which makes it useless. And so this case has no tray to put the iPad into. You see it attaches magnetically and it goes over the top like that. Very simple. It's the lightest case in the collection at 245 grams and £20. So the second case in my collection is the Yigar case. It's only £20. It's 567 grams for the full package, but the shell is only 400 grams. And why do I say 400 grams? Because the surprise is it has a keyboard. So the detachable keyboard, which is freely sits here magnetically. There is a space. I'm saying this is kind of annoying to me because I don't want a space, but there's a space for an Apple Pencil. Now again, in my experience, I will not be using an Apple Pencil, and only a small fraction of iPad users will be using an Apple Pencil. Yet many case manufacturers now have a space for this pencil, and that makes for a bigger and heavier case, which is annoying to those of us who don't want a pencil. So as you can see, you don't need to have the keyboard, and you can just take it without the keyboard. The case is therefore a bit looser. Case number 3 is the Artec aluminium case. It's £53 from Amazon and weighs in at a stonking 718 grams. So if you add this to the weight of the iPad, you have got the weight of a MacBook Air. And what does it do? Well, it's an aluminium shell into which you would place the iPad. But, drum roll, I have not done that. And why? Because although it feels like a very solid case, we have unrestricted aluminium here. So there's no coating whatsoever, it's just aluminium. And I feel that putting the iPad into here would scratch it. So I'm ruling this case out completely because I don't want to necessarily have a case all the time, especially if it makes the whole device as heavy as a laptop. Admittedly, if you don't have the budget for a laptop and you only have the budget for an iPad Gen 10, which is about £300, this could be a solution for you. So the device sits in here. You'll get a laptop looking device. This, as I've said, is about £50. The iPad's £300. So for £350, you've got yourself an Apple kind of budget laptop. So case number 3 is the Inartec, and it's only £50. And what I like about this case is it's specifically designed to be extremely lightweight. The total weight of the case, including the keyboard trackpad, is only 460 grams. Let's have a look. So we've got a magnetically attached keyboard trackpad here. It's got a separate battery and charge, but it can be detached just like this, and the piece de la resistance is it's got a flap here. So this flap allows the case to stand all by itself without the keyboard, and the weight of just the shell is 214 grams. So you can take this on its own, you can stand it up. If you think you're going to be needing some data entry, you take it with the case, and since it's got a screen protector on it, you can quite comfortably put this in its bag on its own without worrying about getting damage to the screen. I really like this case. The 5th case we're looking at is the ZAG Pro Keys case. This case comes in at £67, but it weighs 651 grams, which is heavy. But it does have a few tricks up its sleeve. The first is that it's a plastic shell which can magnetically mount the keyboard in 2 different angles. Here's the first angle, here's the second angle. It comes with a very annoying to me pencil holder here that I'll never use. So I think if I was actually going to keep the case, I would actually consider slicing this off, possibly ruining the look of the case, but making it lighter. And it attaches to this keyboard, which has its own battery and its own connector, and is powered from that battery in the keyboard. Nevertheless, it is a very compact unit and closes like this. And then, of course, if you want to just take the iPad on its own, you magnetically remove this, and you have this shell here. Now this shell is actually the lightest shell of all the shells here, and it's 180 grams, and you're thinking that's great. But there's one, of course, big drawback, which is that there's no way to support this tablet. So there's no fold that comes up, as as are on the other cases, for example. And so you'd be holding the iPad like this. So that might completely rule the case out to you. So that's the ZAG Pro Keys case. I'll just mount it magnetically back onto its mount there and close it very easily here. So the sixth case is the Logitech Combo Touch, and it's a £120 case from Amazon, and it weighs in at 568 grams, so quite a lot less than the ZAG case. And this case not only has a keyboard but also a trackpad. Not only that, it has a flap at the back that opens so it can stand and become a laptop like this. It's not as small as the ZAG case because there's no mounting of this iPad frame on the edge here, and it has a trackpad. However, it also has another clever feature, which is that it doesn't have a battery in this keyboard. It actually attaches via the smart connector of the iPad here. So you never have to charge this keyboard. It can stand by itself, so it does have quite a few features. Conclusions. So I'm settling on two cases, and in the fullness of time it might be down to one case. The first winning case is the Inartech £50 case, which, if you remember, has a keyboard and a trackpad and is only £50, which is magnetically attachable here, like so, and it's got this flap that comes out here. And this shell is only 214 grams in weight. So it's the lightest combination except for the ZAG, but the ZAG doesn't have this stand. So it's the lightest combination with a stand, which I can carry all by itself. So this adds minimal weight, but has a stand. So this could be put inside a very small rucksack and carried safely, given that there's a screen protector on the front. And then if I want to go out and think I'm going to be needing the keyboard, I will take this combination with me. So that's winner number 1 of 2. And the second winning case is the ESR protective tablet case, which is magnetic. And you see it here in one of its modes of operation. Obviously you can get it to stand like this and protect both sides of the iPad. It's the only case, I mean it's ultra light at, let me see, 245 grams for the entire case, but it's the only case that attaches magnetically like this and doesn't have any edges. So it's slightly less protection, however, it is ultra light, and that's what I'm going for. So this is the second winning case. It's the ESR protective tablet case. So there we have it. We have the 2 winning cases out of 6. I obviously wasn't mad enough to go and buy the Apple case because that retails at £250 in the UK and was on discount for £199 in the Amazon Black Friday sale. And since the iPad itself costs about £300, I just think it's madness to spend a huge proportion extra for the case. If money wasn't any object, I would have gone for perhaps I would have kept the second case. I would have kept this being the first. I would have kept the Logitech Combo Touch, because that's also a very advanced case and it attaches and charges its keyboard directly to the smart connector of the iPad here. So that's quite innovative and doesn't need a separate charger. charged battery, and hence it's a bit lighter. But it's still not as light as the in-our-tech case. So this is the £16 ESR protective case, and this is the ultra lightweight in-our-tech keyboard and trackpad case at only £50. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has really helped you choose the ideal case for your iPad 10.